What was your high school's biggest scandal? A huge drug bust that was even on the local news. A good amount of kids were arrested during class and were never seen or heard from again. JK, they went to juvie. In 2010 I, male, 17, walked in on my principal, female 45ish, debating to either Twilight or Twilight-based P. It was not sexy. I may have told one or two people. You know how news spreads. I kinda feel a little bad about sharing, since she wasn't respected anyway and was later very kind and lenient with me. A chick shoved a lava lamp up her nether region while webcamming with some dude, which of course got screenshotted and printed out X100 and plastered all over school. She had to move away. In this day and age there'd probably be a subreddit for that kind of stuff. Edit. Well, now my highest rated post is about Lonnie Clavalamp. Poorly kept secret that the cross-country coach was F-ing a girl on the team. Even less well kept is that he had done the same with a girl 5 years early. The kicker is the first girl came back and became a teacher in the district. She and the cross-country coach are married now. A ton of guys got in trouble for making a list ranking top 100 hottest girls. They had it in a Google Doc with comments. My friend Paula, name's obviously changed, was dating this guy Maximum. Maximum confessed to her that he had cheated, so she dumped him. A few weeks later she was dating another guy named Sam. A week after she started dating Sam, they were in a life drawing class together. I went to an arts high school, and Maximum burst into the classroom screaming that he was going to make not alive Sam. Initially, everyone assumed that this was because he was jealous because Sam was with his ex. But somehow, in all the commotion it became apparent that the person he had cheated on Paula with was Sam. So no one was really sure who Maximum was jealous of, Paula or Sam. Paula had known that Maximum was bisexual, but she had no idea that Sam was who he had cheated on her with. Turns out Sam was gay, not even bi, and in love with Maximum, but not really able to admit it, and so was with Paula because she was as close to Maximum as he was able to get. I was a senior at the time, but I was turning for a grade 9 class for extra credit, and when I was in the staff room, I remember being cornered by several teachers asking me for inside information because it was such juicy gossip. Edit. To change one name I left in by accident. Went to a Catholic all-girls school. Girl got pregnant. She was first kicked out. Then one of the nuns yelled at the principal, who then agreed to let her come back if it meant after school hours and being taught her lessons in an old classroom in the basement by said principal. Girls in each class had abortions by the time they graduated. But because you could see the pregnancy, my friend wasn't allowed to be taught properly and wasn't allowed to walk at graduation. Girl had sex in the dugout during a mandatory assembly. Basically ruined her school life. Looking back, I feel bad for her. Our football coach got shot in the locker room by a disgruntled parent. Did he die? No, he was in the hospital for at least a month and took almost a year off though. A girl in our high school hid her pregnancy pretty well. Bigger girl that didn't really show, so nobody knew. She gave birth in a school bathroom alone, make not alive the baby, and put it in the trash can. The janitor found it later. It turned out that she was sexually and physically abused by her alcoholic father. The baby was his, and she was terrified about what would happen to her if he found out. She was scared for her life and did not know where to turn. Terrible in every sense of the word. The only good to come from it was that her dad went to jail. The band teacher in junior high ran off with the 9th grader. They were in love. A girl in our class married the art teacher shortly after school ended. At the time, I thought that's terrible. But you know what? I see them on Facebook 15 years later, and they're still one of the happiest couples on there. They're both very nice people and honestly probably meant for each other. Go figure. Oh, and he kept his job and still works there, and she is also an artist in the town. One of our maths teachers once entered into a sex contract with a girl when she turned 16. Legal age of consent is 16 here. However, it became evident that he had been talking to her long before she turned 16 and had traded nudes. WTF is a sex contract? An agreement to exchange goods and services. This guy Ekans. Football player got drunk at a party, came home, put a pot of water on the stove, and passed out. The house burned down, make not aliving the player, and also his handicapped sister and her handicapped friend, who were trapped on the second floor. Principal learns of other students who were at the party and suspends them for underage drinking, which also forbade them from playing in the last football game of the season against the rival school. Football parents were pissed at the principal for the decision. Also, somehow, the dead football player was labeled a hero by some. Death really does vindicate you, even when you indirectly make not alive two handicapped people. My school had a week where every day there were 2 or more bomb threats called in. The first day was fun, because we got to go home early. But as the week progressed we just sat in the stadium in the heat and the FBI was called in. It quickly became very unfun. Edit. For all those asking, it was in Louisiana. Not really a scandal, but a chick birthed a baby outside of Siegen. No one knew she was pregnant. This reminds me of a story from my high school. In our final year during English, we had to make a speech about something that had impacted us greatly. Our entire class did their speeches. The last girl came up and was incredibly nervous, which was highly unlike her. She told us the story of how her daughter had impacted her life. She told us how we had all carried on our lives while she was pregnant in grade 8, 5 years ago. I can't remember the specifics, but her speech was so moving about the difficulties she went through, like people in her life telling her how she'd ruined it, but she overcame it, was a good student, and how much she loved her daughter. Half of our class were in tears when she was done, because there was so much raw emotion from this 18-year-old girl. When she finished, everybody was too numb to move, until our teacher started clapping. He had tears in his eyes too, and told her how proud he was of her for everything she'd accomplished, and then gave her a hug. After that, her friend group of about 5 girls got up and hugged her too. They had all known for 5 years and hadn't said a word to anybody. Nobody except selected teachers and her friends knew. I would hate to be the guy with a speech to follow that edit. Yes, I know she went last. This is hypothetical. Why are some of y'all talking to me like I'm an idiot? It's a joke. Drama teacher and pet teacher got caught screwing each other on school premises. Pet teacher was married and had also previously gotten immediate teacher pregnant, also while married. Big hush hush cover up, but everybody found out within a few days. Both got instantly suspended and we never heard from them again. Oh, and I obviously couldn't go without mentioning the pedophile who RD disabled kids 5 odd years ago, and a teacher who left the school a few years ago who last year was convicted of 7 counts of sexual assault on underage girls. True story, but I don't blame anyone for doubting it cause WTF. Preacher's daughter, 13, 14, got pregnant by her older brother. It was a whole huge scandal. A lot of people stopped going to his church. My mom tried to convince her mom to let her have an abortion. The suggestion did not go over well. She had a little noticeable bump and was still attending class. She said the brother RD her, and then that the brother and some of his friends will RD her. He said they'd been fooling around a while, and denied it was She ended up miscarrying. The preacher/father retired. My senior year, some junior who had just transferred that year, and this is a really small private school, got caught selling weed out of his locker. He didn't do this often. I think he forgot it was in his backpack and just decided to wing it because he couldn't get out to his car before lunch. Well, the school faculty took his phone and saw everybody he had texted about weed and brought all of them, like 30 plus people of all ages, into the office to interrogate them. A lot of these kids were really sheltered and had literally bought from him as their first time trying pot. The school made a lot of them call their parents and tell them what happened, so essentially the whole day was full of people nervous and or crying. Then eventually he got escorted out of school in handcuffs and expelled in his first semester. A Spanish teacher was fired on a Thursday. He came back in on Friday with a legally purchased stack in a guitar case. He went into the headmistress's office and make not alive her, and then shot himself. This was at a fancy Christian private school, so it shocked everyone. People always worry about students shooting up schools, but this time it was a teacher. Volleyball coach got pregnant my senior year of high school by her daughter's boyfriend. The daughter was a junior at the time, and the boyfriend had already graduated. The only reason anyone knew was because the coach and her husband were white, and the boyfriend was black. The daughter and boyfriend stayed together, and are now married with a kid of their own. Coach and her husband stayed together, and raised the baby together as their own. To my knowledge, neither couple plans on telling their kids what happened. Edit. By her daughter's boyfriend, not with her daughter's boyfriend. In my sophomore year we had this horrible principal that wasn't respected by any of the staff there. Our teachers would often go on rants about him and the terrible decisions he made. One day he actually did a horrible thing that could have ended disastrously. He was seeing a woman that was cheating on her husband. The husband found out, and during a school day he called the principal from the school and said he was going to come and make not alive him. Usually when a threat like that is made, you're supposed to put the school on lockdown, since you could be putting everyone's life at risk. Instead he sat in his office and kept it private, hoping that it was an empty threat and that the situation would blow over and he would be free from embarrassment. Thankfully it was an empty threat. However, when the faculty found out about the whole situation, they made sure that he was fired for it. He also became a laughingstock in the entire school and town for the next year and a half. Pretty sure there was an article about it in some newspapers as well.